Hi there, and welcome back to Elkhorn Valley Reserve. Now, what are we going to be doing in this episode? I put a poll out on the channel after the last episode dropped of the Red Fox, asking what you guys wanted to see, and a majority of you asked for the Bison and Pronghorn Prairie. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Going all the way back to the other side of the sanctuary, I've made a few adjustments to what I'm going to be doing, and here, this is what we're going to be working on this area here. I hope you enjoy, and let's jump into Planet Renovate. That's right, what is up everybody, my name is Blob and welcome back to Elkhorn Valley Reserve with Planet Renovate. In the last episode, if you haven't seen it already, we were working on this area here, the Red Fox habitat. And I was kind of happy with it. There are a few adjustments that I think I can make to it. I've had a little bit of a think and a draft, and yeah, I think I'll go back and adjust a few things with this habitat, and hopefully it will look a little bit better, because at the moment it's just a bit too blocky, and I've had some really good feedback and constructive criticism in the comments as well. I don't always need comments telling me how amazing things look. If you think something looks a bit off, then feel free to tell me. I'm more than happy to receive either types of comments. That's what they're there for at the end of the day. But like I said, we were running a poll, and it was for whether we were going to do a grizzly habitat or a bison habitat. Now, all the way back here, this area originally was going to be saved for the grizzly bear. However, I think with the plans I've got in mind for both habitats, this area back here where the lake is going to be better suited to the bisons. So what is probably going to end up happening in this episode is I'm probably going to be ripping out, I'm probably going to say 90% of this, which is probably a very large number to rip out, but at the end of the day, this is a renovation. I think for the most part, this shape of mounting is going to be staying put, just because I actually really like the topography of this area. And then I want to have a sort of look at my foliage palette, because it does feel like I'm overusing the black spruces a little bit too much. So I'm going to see if I can adjust that as well. But that does mean that this area back here, where we had our really cool sightline going through, is going to be changing to the grizzly bears. This area is still going to be staying the same. Like I say, I'm adamant to keep the wolf habitat as it is. And I think what I'm going to be doing is clearing this area out here, and I'm going to have a little plaza sort of area where I'm going to be having the raccoon, the red fox will obviously be part of it, the skunk and the prairie dog, and I'll have a little area and it'll be called Little Critter Creek. I think that's just a really cool, it's a name that I've been wanting to use for a long time. I've never actually had the opportunity to use it, but I think given the animals that we're going to be working with here in this series, I think it's going to be a great opportunity to do so. But here is my canvas for what is going to be the grizzly bear habitat. Like I say, I've got something really grand in mind. It's going to be based on, obviously, when salmon go upriver to spawn in Alaska and places like that, bears will find shallow waterfalls of which to catch salmon as they make their way upstream. So I kind of want to replicate something like that. So up here being the top waterfall, and then there'll be like sort of 3 or 4 tiers coming down, and the bears are going to be able to traverse up each and every single one of those, and it's going to try and sort of mimic their natural habitat as much as I possibly can. But yeah, that's like the plan for that one. And then obviously I have a plan for the prairie as well. But without any further ado, I'm going to jump ahead, and it's going to be the first update. There will be a few more speed builds in this episode as well for you. Okay, update number 1. We've got, so the sand is here to emulate the plaza area I was talking about just a minute ago for Little Critter Creek. It's not too big, but I don't want it to be too big, because there's no point in having an area called Little Critter Creek and then having a huge plaza. It just doesn't really feel right. So I've done a little plaza for what is going to be little habitats for little animals. So I think it's all going to be quite quaint in this bit here. But I think it's going to add a nice backdrop to this area here. It's going to help. But I don't want you to be able to see all the way back to the bison prairie that we have already started working on. And like I said about 90% of this was going to get ripped out, and that's exactly what has happened. I've taken out so much of this. We've still got part of the puma habitat back here, but like I say, this probably isn't going to be staying here as well. I'm probably going to have to find something that's going to go in here as well. But this here is obviously what we've all voted on, what we've wanted to see happen, and I've ripped out the water and instead added in this very shallow lake. So they're going to be able to cross from one side to the other, but pretty much what's going to happen is this whole hill and valley is going to get coated in grass. And then I want to use a lot of, not a lot of, but I want to use some Yorkshire grass in there, dring grass, some other bits as well. I've got another zoo that I've sort of been like doing a bit of playing around with, just so I'm not wasting the money in here, and it's a flat zoo. So yeah, just messing around with some pallets and stuff. And then I've got these 3 clumps of foliage here. I think I'm going to redo the foliage in each bit, and then I'm going to see which one I like more, because like I say, I have been using too much of these black spruces, and I want to use more of these Douglas firs, because I don't know, they seem more akin to the area. And then we're obviously going to be redoing the rockwork back here. I'm not just going to leave this as flat plain rockwork back here, but yeah, heavy terrain work been done here. And then I'll have like I'll have a bridge that obviously goes over this that the guests can use as well, because they'll want to be able to get to this part of the zoo still. So yeah, it's really cool. Maybe something can go on this side here, but we shall see. At the moment, we're not focusing on that. We're focusing more on just getting this pronghorn and bison prairie completed. But I think what I'll do is I will go and I'll do a rough blanket of grass just to see where we're at with this, and then I'll obviously come back to you. But it will be a slight speed, it will be a slight time lapse, just so that you can see my process of placing grass, I guess. But yeah, we'll jump into that right now. Hey, post editing blob here. I decided, you know, I'll do a bit of voiceover for this. We won't do a time lapse. I'll just talk over what's going on in the background. And it's generally just buffalo grass. I'm mainly using a line to surface, but the main thing that I instantly noticed when I was doing this is that when you're doing this, no, the grass won't all grow the same length. That's just a fact of the matter. So I go around and I just basically place it everywhere, and then I start selecting groups of it, and then raising some areas, lowering some areas. Sometimes I'll reselect pieces I've already lowered and raised just to give it even more variation before scattering amongst a bunch of other things in and amongst those buffalo grass pieces. But while I was building this habitat, I got thinking to myself, it's going to be for the bison and the pronghorn. And originally the bison were the ones that held my interest, but the more I thought about it and looked into pronghorn, they're actually super fascinating creatures. And one of the things that I learned about them is that they're actually the second fastest land animal on the planet. And I thought to myself, you know what, this doesn't make much sense, given that a lot of adaptations that animals hold tend to be as a result of the environment that they grow up in. You know, it's an environmental thing, you know, survival of the fittest. If you evolve to be the second fastest land animal on the earth, surely there should be a reason to that. And I wasn't quite sure what it was, so I did what any sane person would do, and I went to Reddit and instantly found someone who clearly knew what they were talking about, and that was this person here. I'll put their comment on screen here now. And basically they said, I work in prairie conservation, and pronghorns are some of my favourite animals. During the Ice Age, we used to have North American cheetahs. They were ambush predators. They ran approximately 60 to 65 miles per hour and frequently snacked on pronghorn. The pronghorn adapted and evolved to run 60 to 65 miles per hour. But for a whole minute, the North American cheetahs went extinct, but the pronghorn continued to thrive. And then they threw in a bunch of other amazing facts, like the heart being the size of a baseball, and the fact that their legs are extremely brittle and delicate, so it means that they don't actually have it in them to sort of make sharp turns and stuff like that, so they only tend to run in straight lines. But this makes sense, you know, when you think about it. There's obviously like a missing piece of the puzzle, whereas I think to myself, you know, surely the second fastest land animal on the planet would be something that lives in close proximity to what we know as the modern day cheetah, you know. So this makes sense. It's incredibly fascinating to learn. So going through this whole process of building this habitat, I've actually learned an insane amount. I'm in the middle here. I'm just decorating, you can see, with some rockwork and whatnot. I don't really tend to use these pieces from the Twilight pack, these big thistly, thorny pieces of wood, but you know what, I thought they actually really suited here, and I was definitely going to be putting the pronghorn statue back in here as well. I'll be putting a fence around this as well, just to protect it from damage from bison, in case the bison think that this overly sized pronghorn is trying to stand up to them. But you can see there on the ground, we've been using a mix of things. We've got things like daisies mixed in amongst their buttercups as well. My only wish is that the other foliage that we've got on the ground, like the buttercups and the daisies, I just wish that you could not have the grass with them, because I find that the grass is such a weird off color of green compared to the normal buffalo grass that it just doesn't make any sense. So that would be one of my main changes. But yeah, that's just my general process. Align to surface, selecting areas, raising and lowering them as well, and then just smattering in with some pretty flowers. But yeah, we'll get back to the live section. Cool. Right, I'm happy with the first draft. I'm probably going to be getting rid of a lot of this long grass because I think it kind of ruins it. I hate that you can't adjust the length of the grass, but it is what it is. We gotta work with what we've got, you know. A good workman never blames his tools, as they say. So I think for the time being I'll stick with the short grass, and I'll let the actual grass that I've placed do most of the talking when it comes to the grass work. But yeah, this is kind of what I'm going for. Got this little statue type thing here just to break up the monotony of the grass. I'll probably add like a few more, but you can see what I'm going for here now, really. I didn't quite have the kind of thing that I was expecting when I was back here, but obviously I think once the whole thing's done and it starts to roll over to that side as well, and the backdrop's properly done, because I think at the moment it's a bit strange where I've got the trees, and once I've redone the tree line, I think that'll be where it starts to come into its own, because I think at the moment where I've got a clash between my old tree palette and my new way of doing the grass, then it does definitely clash. This looks a bit better, but I think that's, like I say, it's because I'm using more of these Douglas firs, and I think they're more suited to this type of area. I'll probably go a bit easier on the spruce trees, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is coming out so far. But I'm gonna do the same on that other side. I'm not gonna speed build, time lapse it, because you've just seen me do this whole larger side, and I'll come back to you once I've done the other side. Now, this is a couple of days later, I will admit, and there's a reason I'm facing this way. I went away. I've spent a good couple of days studying some Rockwork in other various forms, whether it be real life reference images. I've just been wandering around Google Images or Google Maps in Oregon for the past good couple of hours, and yeah, I think I've actually managed to do it. I think I've managed to up my game on the Rockwork, and we're slowly going to pan around. Press play as well, just so that we can get the full effect of what's going on here. And that's because I've been working on the backdrop as well as the trees. And as the trees slowly start to come in, you're greeted with this. And yeah, just let my silence speak volumes for what I feel like I've managed to achieve here. I'm really happy with this. Just the general outcome, it's a lot more sleek than what it was before. Probably could still do a bit more work with regards to some foliage that cascades down along with the Rockwork, but just the shape of it and the feel and the vibe are definitely what I've been going for. And then just like coming down to here as well, I've obviously been doing the Rockwork into the river here as it goes, and it's just, yeah, I'm a little bit taken back by it, to be honest with you. I'm very shocked at what I've managed to achieve here across the last couple of days. Even like the waterfall as it cascades down, it's not just a sheer drop, you know, it sort of comes down, it hits this here, and then comes down, hits here as well, bounces across, and then hits across until it finally lands in the river. There's probably a nerd out there that's probably going to argue that this waterfall doesn't cascade down quick enough to sustain a river of this size, but to those people, I just say there's bigger problems in life right now than the size of my waterfall. It's got to be said. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this how this has turned out. We're going to extend it out a little bit. We'll have like a small level area. We'll do like a hut for the bisons and pronghorns as well. What I need to now go and do is work out where my viewing areas are going to be for the bison of this habitat. You can see I've been going around the back of it and just placing in electric fencing. This is probably going to be mainly hidden. I still need a little bit of work here at the back with regards to my foliage, but you can see I've obviously really trailed back the spruces. I've still got some spruces dotted around here and there. There's like, I've used more of the taller ones than the smaller, shallow ones, but It really is just a majority of pines, to be totally honest with you. I just think they're a much nicer shade of green, and it's a lot nicer to look at. The popping is a bit egregious on them, but to be honest with you, I don't really see that being a problem, so I can tolerate that, I think. But yeah, really happy with how this has turned out. When I go up here above, I'd say I'm going to work out, this is probably going to be extended out a little bit. I might even just bring this tree line down so that it meets here, and then, like I say, this will be like a, not an indoor area, but like a shed type thing for the bison to sit in. And then, yeah, I can work out what I'm going to do for like the front of the habitat with regards to like a fence and stuff, and where I'm going to be able to actually get it so that you can see the animals. I think this is going to be one of my viewing points here, so that when you come up, you obviously have like the pronghorn statue at the front. But now I'm toying with the idea of like a beaver habitat in here potentially, and then that way I can use the river. So if I put like a dam across here that the beavers have built, I can then do like a beaver habitat that's like sunken down. Because what I really want is that originally I was going to do the bridge on this side, that when you go down and then when you come back up, you're greeted with the prairie. But obviously where the prairie is now moved, it means that I might move the bridge over here. So we'll have a bridge that you like come down, and then as you come back up, this will be what you're like greeted with. I think that could make for a really nice view as you rejoin the area, and then you obviously come up onto do like a raised area, and then you can go across the river potentially as well to view the bison on this side. But what I'll probably do is close this off maybe with some trees, just so that you can access the bison from here and have a look at them here, or here, and then that way I can incorporate my we obviously had some benches and stuff here originally, but I can move them a little bit further up so that they're here. And then that makes a bit of room for the little Critter Creek and the wolf expansion. But obviously, wolves are going to get a bit of a facelift. I probably will delay them for a little bit. I'll probably focus more on completing this side of the zoo now that this is like really starting to take shape. Even from back here, you know, it's quite a stellar image, to be totally honest with you. I'm really happy with it. But yeah, I'm going to jump on in. I'm going to lay out my pathing for where I'm going to be viewing them. But it's probably going to be just that. It's going to be some rough pathing. I'll probably do some rough fencing as well. But probably we'll look at it in the next episode to finish. Otherwise, this episode is going to be like 50 minutes long. And I really want to try and avoid that where possible. Right, this is it. This is going to be my last update for this video. And I'm pretty happy with how it has turned out. I've done a viewing area for this side, but I have obviously got a lot of work to do with regards to the pathing. Haven't done the viewing area on this side yet, and that is because I've got a really cool idea for a beaver habitat that I might try and fit into this area here. Whether that'll be the next episode, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I've got a really cool idea for a beaver habitat to go in here. You'll notice I've blocked off the view, and it's probably is going to be considered controversial, but I really... It hides the waterfall more than anything else, and I think that that's really important. I don't want to like just show everything in one go. You know, I'm very much one step at a time sort of person. So obviously the staff keeper hut here isn't going to be there. It's going to be moved, so you'll get a really nice view of this. Really basic viewing gallery. I haven't done anything special or over the top for this. It's purely just this is where the keeper gate is, by the way. I've hidden it inside this sort of boxy type thing, and then I've done cattle grid that will hopefully stop the bison and whatnot from actually trying to escape over this fence, and it's a bit more realistic, that I think, as well. But yeah, I may change this at some point, this awning, because I'm not convinced it fits the same standard as I've managed to achieve across the rest of this habitat. But yeah, the idea being that we'll have a habitat in here for the beaver, and I kind of want you to be able to like go down underneath, and then as you come back up, as you slowly come up, you're like greeted with this cascading waterfall and cliff face here, and hopefully one of the animals will be on this side as well. I've scattered the enrichment across the habitat now, so the animals are in and they're sort of doing their thing. they can't escape. But yeah, obviously this side as well, I'm going to do like just a basic shed type thing for them to sit in when they need to as well. And then I'm probably going to end up just bringing the tree line down from here to touch this, where this fence is as well. And then I'll have a little bit of space here that it's quite an awkward shape, but we'll see what we can get done with it. So yeah, that's it. Good grief, like I say, I can't put into words how happy I am with this habitat. Like, this shot here is just so nice. And I think now that the animals are in, I think it gives it even more scale. You know, like obviously bisons are huge animals, but when you see how small the bison is compared to, say, the rock face behind it, you know, I think it puts into perspective how much grandeur there is behind this structure behind them. So yeah, on the topic of animals, like always, let me know if you want to name some of the animals. We've got 3 female pronghorn and 1 male pronghorn. And then we've got 1 male bison, 1 female bison, and then a baby female bison as well. However, I will not be taking names for a male bison because I want to keep the name Abraham for this lad. Like, he's one of our OGs. So I want to keep the name. It's going to be one of the things that are going to be carried over from the old version of Elkhorn. So yeah, Abraham is going to be one of the names that will be staying. But I'm happy to take name suggestions for anyone else, or even the keeper that's going to be looking after these animals. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, and we will see what is coming in the next one. I've got a few plans up my sleeve, but we shall see. I'm going to keep it very close to my chest. But thank you so much for watching. Peace out, and bye-bye.